purpose of this video is to review triangular prisms and triangular pyramids so that we are ready to do some work with cones tomorrow. These are problems that were on your formative yesterday, so if you missed some of these problems, I might have given you some feedback on Google Classroom to watch this video. So these were the most commonly missed, and also the area where people put on their reflection questions that they wanted to go over them. So let's start with the prisms. So I know this is a prism because it has a triangle on one face, and then the opposite face, the back face, is also a triangle, but it has rectangles in between. So when I'm finding the surface area of this prism, I'm actually going to have 5 faces. I'm going to have the front face, that back face, and then the 3 rectangles. So when I'm finding the surface area, I'm going to start with the triangular face in the front. And I know that to find the area of a triangle, I'm going to multiply together the 2 sides that form a right angle. And then I'm going to divide by 2. I'm really going to emphasize this dividing by 2. Even though in this problem you actually don't have to divide by 2, because it's the mistake that people are making most frequently related to anything with triangles. So this is one of my triangles. The reason why I don't really have to divide it by 2 is because I'm going to turn around and multiply it by 2, because I have 2 of them. Next, I'm going to look at the bottom face. So my bottom face is that 8 by 7. So I'm going to add that. Actually, I'm going to put that down here, that I've got 8 by 7. And I'm going to erase it here. And then I've got another rectangle that is 7 by 17. I'm not really sure why I'm using parentheses on these. And then I've got my back rectangle, which is 15 by 7. And so sometimes seeing those dimensions is a little bit tricky, but you have to make sure that you have all 3 of those rectangles. So I just waved my magic calculator wand and did all of those calculations, and then I added them together to get the total surface area 400 centimeters squared. Please make sure that you are putting a label on these answers. It really is important for showing that you understand the concept of what you're doing. Let me point out that I wrote all of these calculations down before I got out my calculator. So I think it's really important to be writing out your calculations clearly and to really think about what you're doing before you pick up the calculator. So for me, it's just easier to pick up the calculator once, and so I would recommend that if you don't do that, that you go ahead and try it. On this next problem, I want to find the volume of the prism. So I know that my volume is going to be my base times my height, and my base is going to be the triangle. So this is where a lot of people are making mistakes with the volume. My base is going to be 4 times 7.5, because that's the triangle, those 2 sides that form the right angle, divided by 2. So I have to find that triangle, and then I multiply times 8. And then I get out my magic calculator, and I find my answer is 120 meters cubed. Now that we've done a couple problems with triangular prisms, let's move on to pyramids, which is going to be really important for our work tomorrow with cones. So when I'm looking at the surface area of a pyramid, again, I just want to find the area of each of the sides. So I know because my base of my pyramid is a square, so this is a square pyramid, I know that because it's regular, and so regular means that all of the sides are going to be the same. So the surface area of my base, that square base, is going to be 2 by 2. The surface area of one of my triangles is going to be 2 times 3. The base times the height, and notice that this is the slant height, It's not the height of the pyramid, it's the height of the face of the pyramid, divided by 2. And then I have 4 of those. So again, getting out my calculator, I find that my total surface area is 16 inches squared. On this next one, I'm looking for the volume of the pyramid. So when I'm looking for the volume, I know that I need the base times the height. And when it's a pyramid, that's going to be multiplied by 1/3. Sometimes people get confused with the 1/3 versus 1/2. Remember the other day we watched a video where it showed someone pouring 3 pyramids of water into a cube. So that's where the 1/3 comes from. So in this case, my base of my pyramid is going to be 8 by 8. And then I'm multiplying it times the height of the pyramid. And again, notice that this is the pyramid's height, not the slant height. So that's 8 times 8 times 9, and then that whole thing gets multiplied by 1/3 because it's a pyramid. So again, when I do those calculations, I find that my volume is 192 millimeters cubed. And on this final problem from the formative, I have the volume of a triangular pyramid. So this was the most frequently missed problem on the formative, because we have a triangle, we've got something going on with a half, and because we have a pyramid, we have something going on with the third, so people get confused by that. So again, I want to stop long enough at the beginning of every problem to really think through, like, what is my volume in this case? So I want to find the area of the base, and I'm going to multiply that times the height. And that would give me a prism. But then, because it's a pyramid and it narrows and comes to a point at the top, I'm going to multiply that times the third. And then I'm going to be really careful, because when I am looking at my base, I am multiplying 17 times 15, the two measurements on that triangle, the height and the base of the triangle. I'm dividing it by 2 because it's a triangle. And then I'm multiplying all of that times the height, which is the 20. So when I do those calculations, I'm going to follow my order of operations. So I've got 17 times 15 times 20, all divided by 2. That's what's going to be in my parentheses, 2,550. And I want a third of that because of the pyramid. So I'm going to divide by 3, and I get 850 feet cubed. So again, really thinking through, when am I multiplying by a third? That's because it's a pyramid. When am I multiplying by a half or dividing by 2? That's because it's a triangle. So sometimes those go together in the same problem. Let me know if you have any other questions about those. The other problems that were frequently missed on the formative were the cylinder problems, but they almost always were just rounding differences. So again, I gave you some feedback in Google Classroom about that, and I adjusted a lot of people's scores because of the rounding differences. Okay, that's it.